How's the sound? Can people hear me? I'm in an acoustic little closet cubby now. This is how Dan used to do his shows. He'd just be chilling in the closet. We were joking about that for a long time. Is the audio okay? Can you hear? Can you hear me clearly, concisely, and precisely? Looks like audio should be fine. Okay. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes for some people to come in. Audio is good? Okay. Hey Mary. Hello Lee. Welcome everybody to the chat. Got some coffee so I can actually wake up. So to explain really briefly again what happened last night, I got rid of our internet yesterday. Was it yesterday? Did I get rid of the internet yesterday or the day before? Day before yesterday, I got rid of the internet. And the internet is necessary for doing live shows, which I didn't think about. It was some sort of a brain fart. I mean, that happens to me during normal circumstances. Like, if I'm looking for something and it's right in front of my face, it will erase itself out of my reality, or I just won't remember it. And these are not normal circumstances because we're leaving to move to North Carolina tomorrow. So, circumstances are a bit wild for me to be doing shows right now. But it looked like it was going to be working. So then I did that, and then remembered pretty soon after I brought the router back to Xfinity that I should not have done that. All I needed to do was say, hey, shut it off like Saturday. But I just didn't think about it, so I shut it off. And then I asked my neighbor here if I could use his signal. And that's what I'm doing right now. So I'm currently on his signal. But when Jason and I tried to do the show yesterday, the upload speed was like less than half a megabyte per second. And to really stream properly, you need to have an upload speed of 3 plus. So it wasn't possible based on the upload speed. And all you guys got was the cloud picture and no audio whatsoever. And we were going to see if Jason could go live on his side. And I just call into Zoom on my phone, or he sends me the link. And we were going to do that, but then he realized that he's never hosted a guest and been live at the same time. All of his podcasts with guests have been pre-recorded. And if you know anything about streaming and setting these things up, that's not something that you just press a button and voila. he wanted to do that. He said he knew about a Zoom function that allows you to go live, but I even told him I don't think it's going to be that simple. I don't think it's just a press a button and we're both live. I think he has to download a third-party streaming software like OBS or Streamlabs, which I'm using right now. So that's what he was trying to do last night. He wanted to get his streaming setup going, and then this morning we'd be able to do the show. And then this morning, so then we were going to do the show at 7 o'clock here. That was our agreement last night, and then I forgot about the time change. So I woke up too late this morning anyway to do the stream at 7. So if he even got himself able to do the show today, which I kind of doubt, because I was sending him more messages last night asking if he got the setup going and everything, and I haven't heard back from him basically since we were trying to do the show around 5 my time, 6 his time yesterday. So there's some sort of block in communication starting immediately after we were trying to do the show yesterday, and that has carried on through till today, and he's not responding to any emails. I still want to hold out some hope that the break will be broken the break. I hope that communication gap will be fixed, so that's why I'm trying to give an energetic opportunity for things to get smoothed over by doing this. And if he emails me while I'm doing this, or if maybe somebody can try and contact him. I kind of felt trouble coming with this one. I don't know why, but it felt to me like it would be an effort on both ends to actually make this one happen, and it has been. So yeah, I haven't heard back from him since last night, and I'm just going to make this relatively brief. This is not going to be super long. I just wanted to go over my notes that I did while I was researching that time period of 1890. And yeah, I'm not going to sort of analyze them too terribly much. Just briefly go over the notes that I took, that I had in preparation for the show. And if I get an email from him during the show, I'll check it periodically. Then he should be able to jump on this live. That would be the idea anyway. So, without any further ado, and also, we are in the process of moving, and I also have 2 students today, and we also need to get everything from the apartment into the trailer so our landlord can go through and check things, because we're supposed to get a deposit back, which I don't think we've ever gotten. Somehow that always gets messed up. Oh, and don't forget, if you'd like to support our transition, our move, I have a fundraiser called A New Reality, and you can check out the last video that I made before this one. Well, go back till you see the one that says A New Reality, and you can donate at that GoFundMe link, or you can share it. Any donations and sharing are highly appreciated. And yeah, let me go see if I can find my notes really quick. Jason has about twice as many subs as he had during our last show. I think he had something like 13,000 subs, and now he's got 31. So somehow he's going underneath the scrapers, the suppressors, and the blockers, or he's being allowed to speak. We also talked about this yesterday, or he's being allowed to speak because some sort of cosmic I don't know what you would call it, but some sort of, like, the bad guys need the word to get out. They need information to get out to some extent. They obviously don't want a ton of information getting out, but he could just be being allowed to give out this information because somebody needs to be allowed to give out the information. And he's also the most appropriate one for it because he's compiled and collated all this data and put it all together while he was in jail, which means that's all he was spending his time doing during that 20 year period. So he is the right person to be able to do it. Him, Quantum of Conscience, also was allowed to go to 85,000 subs. He's kind of stuck there. I'm not really sure why, but yeah, it's always interesting when a few channels are allowed to slip through the cracks. Okay. Do one more email check. Nope. No Jason. Hey Crystal, how you doing? $18.90. So I have what I found as far as notable events, some notable births, and some notable deaths. And I also got 4 books that were written in the 1890 period, from something like 1890 to 1900. One of which I was able to read, which was The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. So I will talk a little bit about that book and just go over the notes. Okay, 1890, notable events. Sleeping Beauty premiered. British ultimatum. The United Kingdom demands Portugal withdraw its forces from the land between the Portuguese colonies of Mozambique and Angola, which is most present-day Zimbabwe and Zambia. The U.S. Weather Bureau is established within the USDA. Mississippi Valley tornado outbreak. 24 significant tornadoes are spawned by one system, killing at least 146 people. Also, a coordinated series of mass rallies and one-day strikes is held to demand an 8-hour workday in Europe and North America. So I think they were trying to, well, I think it kind of has to be that they were trying to reduce the workday from like 10 to 12 hours, probably to 8. So they're already trying to work everybody into the ground. Yeah, Crystal, I'm going to give you guys the other books as well. I think they're still written. Everything's packed up, so I I don't know where they are exactly in the apartment because we're getting ready to leave, but I'm pretty sure I have them all written here in my notes as well. So along with the rallies and strikes to demand an 8-hour workday, we have on May 1st, 1890, in many ways the Haymarket tragedy also set the grounds for May 1st as a worldwide day of action for workers' rights. In 1888, the American Federation of Labor, formerly the FOTLU, called another general strike on May 1st, 1890 to again demand an 8-hour workday. And to expand a little bit on the Haymarket tragedy, the Haymarket riot, also known as Haymarket Incident and Haymarket Affair, occurred on May 4th, 1886, when a labor protest rally near Chicago's Haymarket Square turned into a riot after somebody threw a bomb at police. At least 8 people died as a result of the violence that day. Despite a lack of evidence against them, 8 radical labor activists were convicted in connection with the bombing. The Haymarket riot was viewed as a setback for the organized labor movement in America, which was fighting for rights like the 8-hour workday. At the same time, many in the labor movement viewed the convicted men as martyrs. So lots of people saw this bombing and the people who were responsible as saints, or like good people who are being painted in a bad light by the people in power. Okay, now I'm going to go down some of the dates that I found, notable dates. And this is in the actual year of 1890. And again, this is internet research. This is not going and looking through books like Jason does. It's not all from one site. I looked across a few, probably 3 to 4 different sites, and tried to find ones that didn't look too polarized in either direction, and put them together into this. So, June 1st, the United States Census Bureau begins using Herman Hollerith's tabulating machine to tabulate census returns using punched card input, a landmark in the history of computing hardware. Hollerith's company eventually becomes IBM, which is International Business Machines. When I saw that IBM thing, I remembered that the Nazis were accused of using IBM's tabulating system to target, to perform genocide, or to, what's the name? What's the name for trying to purify the race? Anyway, that'll probably come to me. See, it's words like that, like everybody knows what that is, but it just runs away from me. IBM Holocaust involvement. The 1933 census, with design help and tabulation services provided by IBM through its German subsidiary, proved to be pivotal to the Nazis in their efforts to identify, isolate, and ultimately destroy the country's Jewish minority. The Ouija board is first released by Elijah Bond. So that was also June 1st. July 3rd, Idaho is admitted as the 43rd U.S. state. July 10th, Wyoming is admitted as the 44th U.S. state. July 14th, lime green is first described as a color. July 27th, Vincent van Gogh dies.
Sorry.
You're fine. I'll be making noise with you soon enough. Van Gogh shot himself and he died 2 days later. August 6th. At Auburn Prison in New York, William Kemmler becomes the first person to be executed in the electric chair. That's exciting. So the first person to be executed in the electric chair happened in 1890. September 25th, President Wilford Woodruff of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints issues the 1890 Manifesto, ending the official practice of polygamy. I thought this one was pretty funny. November 21st, Edward King, Anglican Bishop of Lincoln, is convicted of using ritualistic practices. A bishop. It's like a gymnast getting fined for doing a flip. Francis Galton announces a statistical demonstration of the uniqueness and classifiability of individual human fingerprints. So you can see the IBM's tabulating system fingerprints, and nowadays we have eye scanners. Probably eventually you'll be able to be DNA tested just by walking through something, or you just give a little tiny sample and they'll identify you by your DNA in like a minute. I kind of assume that will be coming at some point, if it's not already there. July 2nd, Sherman Antitrust Act becomes law in the United States. I assume that's something about corporate sabotage. October 1st, at the urging of John Muir, the U.S. Congress designated Yosemite a national park. January 25th, journalist Nellie Bly beats the fictitious journey of Jules Verne's Phileas Fogg around the world by 8 days. So in 72 days. I guess as opposed to 80. I think I can still do math. March 1st, longest bridge in Great Britain, the Forth Bridge Railway, at 1,710 feet in length, is opened in Scotland by the Prince of Wales, later King Edward VII. March 18th, the first U.S. state naval militia organized in Massachusetts. May 12th, Louisiana legalizes prize fighting. This one is very interesting. June 1st, U.S. census at 62,622,250. So in 1890, how many times does 6 go into 350? 6 times 5 is 300. 6 times 7 is 420. About 6.5. So from 1890 to today, the U.S. has gotten 6 times larger in terms of population. That's kind of crazy, I think. July 1st, Canada and Bermuda are linked by telegraph cable. August 30, President Benjamin Harrison signed the first U.S. law requiring inspection of meat products. So none of the butcher shops had any oversight before August 30th. October 1st, Germany's anti-socialist laws lapse. October 11th, first 100-yard dash under 10 seconds run by John Owen, and he did it in 9.8 seconds at Unalakleet Island, Washington, D.C. November 11th, D. McCree patents portable fire escape. D. McCree, huh? Here are a few notable births that happened in 1890. I mainly picked ones that I was at least vaguely familiar with. I didn't want to list every single person that these sites told about. So, June 16th, Stan Laurel, English-born actor of the show Laurel and Hardy. I think it was just called Laurel and Hardy. That old black and white kind of slapstick show. We watched a lot of those when I was young. August 20th, H.P. Lovecraft, American writer. Lovecraft he writes horror, but he puts a very interesting spin. Like his horror stories are actually believable. Colonel Sanders, founder of KFC. So he was also June 16th. October 2nd, and these are births, not deaths. So we got Colonel Sanders, Groucho Marx, he died in 1977. That was October 2nd. October 14th, Dwight D. Eisenhower, U.S. General and 34th President of the United States. He died in 1969. December 25th, Robert Ripley, American collector of odd facts, died in 1949. He's the author of Ripley's Believe It or Not. And then we have a few notable deaths. July 7th, Henry Nestle of Nestle Chocolates, Swiss confectioner and the founder of Nestle. He was born in 1814. July 29th, Vincent van Gogh, which we already kind of went over. Van Gogh was born in 1853. August 6th, William Kemmler, American murderer, first person executed in the electric chair. William Kemmler was born in 1860. So don't you be killing people. That's not allowed. And if you do, we're going to kill you. Okay, and then the last little bit of this is I have the books that I got, if you're interested in purchasing any of them. And the reason I got these books was not for any historical accuracy. I just wanted to get a look into the thinkers and the bright minds, or perhaps the sad and depressed minds of the era. It doesn't look like I have them all listed here, but I can just go to Amazon and tell you guys the names. And I'll also give a few of my notes on the time machine. H.G. Wells. H.G. Wells died in 1946, shortly after the detonation of the first atom bomb. That's in real life, that's not in his book. The time traveler in this book views time as the fourth dimension, and to look at a picture of the same person over different ages, you were looking at cross-sections of the fourth dimension. We know of this dimension in its totality per person from birth to grave as the long body. And I have also made at least a video or two on the long body. If you just type that in along with Gary Warmerdam, you should find relevant data. And according to Wells in this book, a person's four-dimensioned being is a fixed and unalterable thing. Relevant things in the book, I just put the white sphinx. There's a sphinx in the book, and I think that's inside the sphinx was where his time machine ended up getting hidden from him, so he got stuck there for a while. And in the place that he traveled to in the future, we have the Eloi, small, simple, vegetarian, maybe serve as food source for the below ground people. And the below ground people are called Morlocks, with an M. M as in Mary. Also small, pallid white creatures who have reflective eyes and operate machinery below ground. And the Morlocks also are not as innocent as the Eloi, and they kind of manage Eloi as a cattle. And the main character in the story also eventually is suspicious that the Morlocks are eating the Eloi. And then I put a picture of a relevant excerpt from the book. So I'm going to find what it was I was looking at. So he's coming upon a scene with the Eloi. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Eloi? It's E-L-O-I. About 8 or 9 in the morning, I came to the same seat of yellow metal from which I had viewed the world upon the evening of my arrival. I thought of my hasty conclusions upon that evening, and could not refrain from laughing bitterly at my confidence. Here was the same beautiful scene, the same abundant foliage, the same splendid palaces and magnificent ruins, the same silver river running between its fertile banks. The gay robes of the beautiful people moved hither and thither among the trees. Some were bathing in exactly the place where I had saved Weena, and that suddenly gave me a keen stab of pain. Like blots upon the landscape rose the cupolas above the ways to the underworld. I understood now what all the beauty of the overworld people covered. Is that a spider? I think it's a mosquito. What the beauty of the overworld people covered. Very pleasant was their day, as pleasant as the day of the cattle in the field. Like the cattle, they knew of no enemies and provided against no needs. And their end was the same. It was a pretty good book. I could not tell any difference in intelligence of an author from the 1890s versus anybody now. I assume they probably were more intelligent and more aware in 1890, based on the general trajectory of this reality. So I'm gonna find really quick what are the other 3 books in case you guys are interested in looking at them. Okay. Oh, I got another book too, which I kind of forgot I had. So, The Time Machine, then there's The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. Then we have News from Nowhere and Other Writings. And this is by William Morris. And the last one is The Sorrows of Satan. The Strange Experience of One Geoffrey Tempest, Millionaire. I tried, after I read The Time Machine, I tried getting into, I believe it was News from Nowhere. William Morris, who was like a industrialist, he was a businessman. And I just couldn't read him. Like, I tried getting into it, but couldn't really read him, and then just got crazy busy. So that's all I've had the time to do, is read one book. So that's about it. That's the notes I have on 1890. I'm sure Jason would have rounded it out very nicely. And Jason would be able to tell us what happened according to the various calendrics, as he calls it. He takes like 5 different ways of measuring time or dates, and he references them off of each other. So it gives, it just gives the reference points. It's very interesting how he comes up with some of the numbers. Okay, gonna check the email one last time, see if he sent any email. No email. So something's going on his side. Whenever we get settled where we're moving and we have internet again and all this stuff, and I'm doing shows, I'll see if I can have him back on to do this one or do a different one. But for now, we gotta pack a lot of things because we're leaving tomorrow. Okay. Crystal said she emailed Jason. Did you guys get those books? Were you able to hear that clearly enough? What I'm reading is the notes that I came up with because we were going to go over 1890, Jason and I. And I did a fair amount of research, and I also ordered 4 books from the time period. Thank you, Crystal, for writing those out. I appreciate it. Yeah, we'll get it going again at some point, but it's gonna have to be after things settle down. Okay, so thank you everybody for hanging out. Remember to throw some pennies at the fundraiser if you would like. That link is in the description box of this video. And otherwise, if anybody hears from Jason and wants to contact me, then you can send me an email. It's GAP as in Paul AWA1985 at gmail.com. Okay? Thank you, everybody. Much love. We're going to move. I will see everybody probably. I mean, I will give progress reports on our move and probably take videos of us building our cabin and doing whatever else. It's going to be exciting. We're pretty happy. But yeah, you guys will see some of it. All right. Thank you again. Thank you again.